Hi everybody. So I'm out doing, I just want to follow up on the little incident that happened the other day when I was running. For those who didn't catch that live one, there was a young lady looking after obviously a baby. I found it now as a 2.5-year-old little girl, obviously looking after on behalf of a family that has to work. And there's a little girl of 10 years old, whatever, with them, 3 of them walking down the road, kind of like accosted or harassed by 5 bin men. One specifically, the other 4 didn't do anything, but they didn't do anything. So that's why when I saw it, I stepped in, and it was an incident. But you know, there's 3 young girls, and what are they going to do? You know, so I had to step in, and yes, it's a 5-to-1 situation where I was literally standing in the street, and 5 bin guys that I could actually see were like in front of me, and I was the one giving them horns. So yeah, it was a little bit of a tense moment, and I just stand my ground, and it's, you know, it's not a situation I want to get into, and it's not a situation I advise anybody to get into, but a lot of people have got involved now and said to me, well, what happened afterwards? What happened? Well, what happened was the one bin guy said that he told the other guy not to do it, and the other guy said, well, they said nothing, and then the guy who was guilty just looked at me, and they got on their truck and they drove off. So that was yesterday's incident. So today, right now, I found a 5K route that I do. So I do the same route. And coming back today, guess what I see? I see the same woman walking with the same 2.5-year-old, with the same girl down the same street. Now, I don't want to get busy now. And I know that my whole concept of a real man and the manual and that type of thing, the real manual is to wake up men and get men to step forward and that type of stuff. And to a certain extent, I think there's a belief that I'm against men, and I think all men are bad, and I don't. I think men are fantastic, and I think there's a lot of good men in this country. I just don't think they're doing enough, and I think they're sleepers, and I want the sleepers to wake up and be active, okay? The thing about the manual as well is that I also want men to be men, because I'm not saying that women are perfect. And that's another thing that I want to get across, and that's my message today, is that, you know, ladies, we want to protect you, we want to love you, but when common sense doesn't prevail. Now, I don't want to get you guys saying to me like Zazelle, you know, it is my constitutional right to walk wherever I want to walk in this country. It is my constitutional right to wear whatever it is I want to wear. And you know, understand something, ladies, you are right. It is your constitutional right. It is your constitutional right to wear what you want, go what you want, and you should be able to do it. If you were living in Nirvana, if you were living in Disney World, if you were living in a place where law actually is the number one thing, if you were living in a place where you had freedom of speech and freedom of expression, if you were living in a place where you could study what you wanted to study, and they didn't judge you based on the color of your skin or your background or who you know, do you understand that there are so many things that you would look around and say, you know, in a perfect world, you are right. In a perfect world, I would be able to study where I wanted to. I would be able to go where I wanted to. In a perfect world, I would be able to get booked by companies to speak. But that's not the perfect world. Because 4 out of every 5 quotes that we put out there to go speak, they judge me because of my complexion, of my skin. Now, what I do is I don't bitch and moan about it. I make a plan, and I make sure that I guide myself in a different direction where I know I'll be appreciated. We don't live in a fair society. Ladies, can you get that? We do not live in a fair society. Here's the thing. If you went, ladies, please, ladies, and I'm aiming at ladies now, and I'm doing this out of love. I'm trying to make women more aware. If you went to the Kenya right now, and you went to the deepest, darkest jungle, where there's lions and leopards and that type of thing. We even get places here in South Africa where the game rangers say, don't leave your boma without somebody with a gun, because there are lions and tigers and hyenas and bad things will happen to you. Do you know what? Don't leave your boma. So if they turn around and they say to you, do you want to walk across the Masai Mara now? And if you go across there, lions will eat you. Are you going to strap meat to your body, big chunks of steak and that type of thing, and run across the plains? You wouldn't do it, because you know what? You're living in a jungle. You're living in a society. You're living in a place where animals will come and kill you because they're hungry, because their instinct says kill and eat. Do you get the official stats is that a woman is raped in this country every, I think it's 40 minutes. That's the official one. But some people say that a woman is attacked and raped every 40 minutes, but only 1 out of 10 is reported. That means that a woman is raped and attacked in this country every 4 minutes. By the time I finish this little rant, by the time I get off my man soapbox here, you would have 2-3 women that have been raped in this country. So yes, because they don't report it, you see. Only 1 out of 10 is reported. That's 1 every 4 minutes, people. So as much as I love you women, as much as everything I do is to make women feel safe and protected, and I go out of my way now to actually do it, and that's my thing. I can't go back the very next day after putting my life in danger to stand up for you and the 2.5-year-old that you're looking after. There's a woman, a 2.5-year-old girl, and a 10-year-old, 12-year. I met the woman today. I walked up to her. She looked at me. She saw me, and she said, thank you. Thank you for yesterday. I didn't have time. I said, no problem. I said, but can I ask you a question? Yesterday, you had 5 men standing around you, and they wouldn't leave you alone, and the one got too close in your space, and you were at risk. But today, you're back in the same street with the same 2.5-year-old baby, with the same 10-year-old girl. My mind wants to explode. It's not as if she doesn't know the dangers. Just 2 days ago, she was in the situation. Yet the very next day and the next day, she's back with that child. I don't understand it, ladies. I don't understand it. Do you know there's a lot of freedoms, there's a lot of things that us as men in this country can't do. There's a lot of places we can't go. There's a lot of businesses we can't open. There's a lot of things that we just can't do. You know, growing up, I grew up in an area where people, boys, sorted their problems out with this. And I was raised in that area, and I realized as a young kid, I wanted to go to that disco, and I wanted to go to that nightclub. Man, there were people who had parties that friends of mine I wanted to go. But I knew that if I went to that party, I knew for a fact there were people at that party who were going to make a fight, and there would be a story. So you know what I did? I had to waive my constitutional right to go to that party and go to that nightclub. Do you know why? Because I knew that I would probably end up in hospital or even worse. So you know what I did? I just took the precautions. Ladies, please, please. I want men to get involved and protect you, but don't really. If you are doing something that you know, if you're involved, listen, one last thing. Let me do the last thing. Otherwise, I'll rant you the whole day. If you were involved, I know a lot of women are going, yes, but what if you didn't know the man was violent? And what if you didn't know? Well, number one, you know if a man is violent. And I always say this when I go talk at schools. I say to the girls, and now I say to women, if you meet a man and that man solves his problems with his fists, one day you are going to be his problem. Get that? Now, if you know that the man you are staying off or live with, or you know that there's people around you who solve their problems with their fists and they're violent people, and you choose to, and a lot of cases you don't choose to, but if you choose to stay with these people, and you chose that man, before you even got married, you knew he was a fighter. Before you got married, you knew he was one of those guys. And then you married that guy, and then all of a sudden you're in a restaurant and that guy starts beating the shit out of you. And now you expect a real man or somebody to step into that life, risk himself and his kids losing a father, because, ladies, come on. I do understand that there are a lot of women here who are locked in, and there are a lot of women that this does not apply to. I'm not talking to those women. I'm talking to the ones who know better. I'm talking this morning to the lady down the road who has got 2 children that she's looking after. One is a 2.5-year-old and one is a 10 or 11-year-old. And she's walking these streets where in our group it has been said that the muggings are up, the robberies are up, the assaults are up, everything is up. In fact, they're even telling us, don't go to our local parks anymore because the crime, because the economy is so down, because the opportunities are less, they're starting to mug people. This is a known thing. You know, I know that I'm going to be attacked by a lot of the haters because I don't have time to talk to all the nuances of the different circumstances that women are in. All I'm trying to say to you today, ladies, listen. You do not live in a normal society. If you lived in a normal, law-abiding society, all of your constitutional rights, I'm right behind you. I am right behind you. I'm just saying to you, you have to wake up and you got to be careful. You've got to watch where you go. You've got to watch where you run. You've got to watch where you cycle. You've got to watch the places you go to. You've got to watch the time you drive home. You've got to have somebody with you when you drive home. And even the somebody who drives, the other day, I saw a grandpa walking up a road here with his 2 grandkids. Now, that's a wonderful thing. And there's trees, and it looks like one of those idyllic pictures. But what is a 75-year-old grandpa going to do if a car or guys pull up next to him? Come on, people. Just, you know what I mean? I don't want you, I almost have said I don't want you to live in fear, but you know what? Maybe you should. Maybe we should live in such a way that we're constantly checking and aware and alert. Because if we're aware and alert, we can live normal lives. Normal lives. Okay? Okay. That's my rant for today. I had to give a follow-up. So the lady did say thank you. She did. And when I said to her, why do you come out again? She says, because the 2.5-year-old gets restless. I said to her, so a 2.5-year-old baby that you're looking after on behalf of the people who live in the house, you are walking up and down the streets because she, the 2.5-year-old, gets restless. So a 2.5-year-old is making you, a grown woman, and this teenage kid walk up and down the streets. My mind just boggles. Okay, so listen. I'm done my rant. Put my soapbox away. This is not anti-man. I'm pro-man. This is not anti-woman. I'm definitely for woman. So that's my rant for today, and I'll I'll keep you posted on my next little adventure. Remember, the manuals. You guys there, listen. The manuals are available. Ladies, the manuals are available. Just hit the realmansite.com and get them. And that's what I got to say. Okay, there's my little advert at the end of this, because I don't know how I'm going to get the word out. Anyway, maybe I'm just going to do these rants every day, every second day, every time I see something. Who knows? Anyway, but listen, thanks for watching. Debbie Buerta. Thank you, Gavin, making a stand. Because listen, I'm not making a stand. Just one thing. Oh yes, one more thing before I go. Thank you, everybody who's saying I'm standing up. I can't remember who it is. Some Pulitzer Prize winning, some guy who got a Nobel Prize for peace, or got a Nobel Prize for helping people, or somebody was honored for doing something like, he had a feeding scheme, or he had whatever. And I can't remember the guy. All I remember was what he guy said. He just looked at the audience. He said, "This is absolutely amazing that you are recognizing me for doing something that every man should be doing, that comes naturally. When you see somebody who's suffering, you see somebody down, or you see somebody in trouble, isn't everybody's duty just to step in and do something about it? But how have we come to a place where you recognize and give an award to somebody who took his jacket off and gave it to a cold guy? How is it that we reward somebody and we acknowledge them for walking out of a KFC and seeing a guy with no food and no shoes and giving him a rounder? But that guy now becomes this big hero, and but I'm just saying but isn't that what we all should be doing? And I think that's really the message, is we all should be doing this. But gentlemen, don't take unnecessary risks and put yourself in a place where you can get yourself killed and harmed because of a situation that could have been avoided because the person in the situation didn't take care or was stupid. It's a balancing act when you get involved. Guys like me, I got a mate, Mitch, him and I, we just got there. There are certain people, certain men who just will always run towards danger. But I don't understand it. It's stupid. I don't know what it is. But I'm saying to guys, don't be a dead hero. That's unnecessary. You know what I mean? Listen, unless it's a major thing and a family member's involved, then you go ahead. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, be careful. 2 days ago, it was 5 against 1 in the street. I was totally outnumbered, and looking back on it now, it was really maybe a silly thing to do. You know what I mean? I kept my distance. I did all the right things. But guys, be careful. Ladies, please take care. Don't put us men in the position where we have to risk our lives, or that situation where it could have been avoided if you just weren't there, if you just weren't traveling at that hour, if you just didn't go to that thing. You could have. Or you could have gone, but there was nobody to back you up or be with you or look after you. Ladies, you've got to be careful. Be careful and think. Okay, guys, that's me. I'm out.